if you retired at 65 and you're debating to wait until 67 or 70 to start your Social Security, well, what are you living on?
Yeah.
You're living on your savings, right? You're spending down money, and that money won't ever come back. And so what I've found for most people, I'd say at least 2/3 of the time when we run it under an income plan, it actually makes more sense if they've stopped working to start it sooner. Welcome to Wealth Creator Radio, where we help people overcome the uncertainty of having enough retirement income. I'm your host, Eric Heckman, a certified financial planner with over 30 years of experience. We want you to enjoy life and not have to wonder where your money will come from and how long it'll last. My mission is to show you how to develop a personalized income plan so you can retire more and have worry less wealth. Here at Wealth Creator Radio, we cut through the noise and get straight to what matters. We understand that the world of retirement planning can be filled with confusing products, ever-changing tax laws, and volatile markets. That's why we're here to help successful people like you navigate the uncertainty and create a blueprint for a thriving, work-optional life.
Welcome to our show where we talk about retirement planning. Eric is right here in Silicon Valley, and he's been helping people just like you have remarkable retirements. In fact, he's been doing this for 30 years now, and it is his mission to help you plan for lifetime income, to help you weather most any economic storm. Let's start off with the phone number. We want you to have this handy. You can call or text the word visit to 800-454-1184. 800-454-1184. Remember, that's a complimentary appointment. The other thing you can do is text the word toolbox to the same number, and you can get our complimentary toolbox that includes resources that you can read for retirement, most any topics that we talk about on our show, and Eric's book, Blueprint to Worryless Wealth, all complimentary. Text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184. Remember to check out our podcast. It comes out every Tuesday morning. It's the entire latest show that's posted at 9 a.m. In case you missed part of this show, you can catch it there. And we've made it available for you anywhere that you get your podcast. Okay, so just check Wealth Creator Radio. All right. And we are so excited to be with you today, Eric. We have a lot of stuff to get to. We're going to talk about really just making it through retirement, maximizing your retirement income.
Yep. No, sounds great. That's the biggest thing you need to do is make sure you have income. 'Cause without income, you're just unemployed.
That's right. And you
can't.
Yeah.
We need to make sure you have income and make sure that money lasts.
The last thing we need at this stage in the game, after we've saved for retirement, is making some kind of a mistake with our money. And then we end up spending it down too quickly. So that's the big question. How can you make sure that you have done enough? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to share with you simple ways to help maximize your retirement income so that you can make the most out of your retirement and take these strategic but simple steps that we have for them. Right, Eric?
Yeah, no, it's really important to recognize how to, focus on your retirement, make sure you've saved that, you've been saving that money for all this time and you just really been trying to kind of go up the mountain and grow the money, right? But believe it or not, when you go down the mountain, that's when more people get injured or die in mountain climbing because people don't focus on it and don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And same with retirement. As you're kind of built up that big mountain of money, hopefully for retirement, when you're starting to use that money and going back down with that mountain, you need to make sure you have it set up the right way.
Exactly. Yeah. People who are mountain climbers, they get guidance for the way down. Yeah, that's so interesting to me. I didn't really know that until I started talking with you. But we have some projections from the Employee Benefit Research Institute, and it shows that about 40% of households, and these are, where the head of the household is somewhere between 35 and 64 years old, they are projected to run short of money in retirement, Eric. So how concerned should pre-retirees be about running out of money?
It should be probably one of the top ones, if not the top one. And, most of us don't have pensions. Social Security is mostly there, but in 2035, it's supposed to have issues where it might not be able to pay 20% of its bills, and that's not good. Mm-hmm. So, we will hopefully see somebody in government finally fix that, but, hasn't happened yet and probably won't happen for a while. So that means it's all onto you. And that means you're in charge of your own retirement and making sure your own income lasts. And, that's a lot for somebody who's probably never done that before, right? So that's where it's really good to reach out and get some help. There's a lot of great tools out there where some great products too, where you can guarantee some of that money for the rest of your life. And that way you can kind of really create your own pension. And once you've created that stream of income, then the market money is not as critical, and that's more your fund money, your spending money. But you got to have a plan for that, because all the medical technology is helping us live longer. But if you don't have money, that's not going to be a very good life.
No, it is not. And that's what this whole show is about. That's what your whole business is about, really. I mean, the main focus of it is to help retirees make sure their money does last. Let's talk about factors, though, that can cause you to spend down your savings faster than anticipated, Eric.
Well, I think the first one's actually not planning on how much spending you're going to do the first 5 to 10 years. Those are what we like to call your go-go years, where you get the money, you get the energy, and you want to go, see this, do that, right? Have all that fun.
Yeah.
And then you have your slower go years, and that's where maybe health issues start coming up and other things. And then you have some years where you probably won't go. And you're older and maybe not able to get around. But during that whole time frame, you also have inflation. You don't know where that's going to be year by year. And then stock markets ups and downs. Usually every decade has probably at least 2 bad years in there. And so when are those bad years? And, are they early on in retirement, later on in retirement? These are all the things that you have to kind of account for, right? And so not just how long you're going to live and what your health's going to be like, but inflation, stock market uncertainty, how much money you're spending. And, that's where it comes down to having a plan. You need to have a plan. And our planning process is called the Blueprint to Worry Less Wealth, because we want you to worry less about your money and retire more and have fun.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that you want to be really focused on. And so, we've set up a lot of great digital tools in our digital toolbox. I've got a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. We've got a great quick report of will your money last as long as you do? Exactly what we're talking about. So there's that and more there, and even a way to set up a time to talk with me. So all you have to do to get access to everything is just text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184. Or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And thank you so much for joining us today. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial. Eric, let's talk about some strategies here then. Tell us a possible strategy to help make sure that we're not going to spend down our savings too quickly.
Yeah, one popular one is having a bucket strategy, where you kind of visualize a pot of money and you spend that pot of money down while the other ones keep going. And then you have another one that you spend down, and then, another one. And so, if you have those set up right, it can be really good. I find one of the best tools to use for that type of thing is something that's guaranteed, where the money won't drop. And by having something where the money won't go away, you can take that money out, right? Year after year after year. And you're good. And then the rest of your money, the other buckets, can be bouncing around, going up and down with the markets, right? Doing all the crazy stuff that the markets do. But over time they're going to go up. And and that's how you're going to be able to make that money last a lot longer.
Okay, very good. So I love the bucket strategies where you can have liquid and then also savings for later and all those strategies. So a lot of times on our show, we say, hey, you can get a second opinion on what what strategies you're doing on your retirement right now. And you offer that every week, don't you?
Yeah, certainly. So when you're looking at that, what you've got set up, and hopefully if something's set up, but more often than not, about 80% of people who are getting close to retirement don't even have a written income plan. And that's really scary. It's kind of like going out in the forest, out of cell range and trying to get someplace without a map. And, you might get there just because lucky, but probably not. So that's one of the things that we want to do is build that roadmap for you, build that blueprint to worry less wealth. So that way we know what your income plan is going to be. Where's that money going to come from? How should you change your investments to then start putting off that income? And what's the tax ramifications over that time, over not just that 1 year, but your entire retirement? And how do we lower your lifetime taxes, not just your taxes 1 year? And then, of course, we want to look at healthcare, legacy issues. And those are the 5 areas of the blueprint to worry less wealth. Again, something that you can set up a time to talk with me, Eric Heckman, or just get some great tools at our digital toolbox. A copy of my book, Will Your Money Last as Long as You Do? Social Security decision. And are you paying too much taxes in retirement? Lots of great information. So all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Worried about retirement? You're not alone. Running out of money is the number one fear for retirees, but you don't have to face it alone. Join Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial for an exclusive movie event that could change your future. On Tuesday, October 29th at 6:30 p.m., we're hosting a private screening of The Psychology of Retirement at the Cinelux in Campbell. This insightful film, featuring renowned experts like Morgan Housel, will show you how to conquer your retirement fears and take control of your future. Tickets are free, but seats are limited, though, so reserve yours now at wealthcreatorradio.com and discover what you can do today to ensure a secure tomorrow. Eric Heckman and Heckman Financial, your partners in crafting a worry-free retirement. Visit wealthcreatorradio.com to sign up today. That's wealthcreatorradio.com. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, founder of Heckman Financial, right here in the Silicon Valley area, helping people like you have their retirements and helping them achieve those goals that you have for retirement. So according to the Social Security Administration, a retirement benefit of $1,000 is reduced by 25% to $750 if you take your benefit 48 months ahead of your 67th birthday, okay? Or that would be your full retirement age. That's what that's considered. Now, if you wait even longer until you're 70, then that benefit continues to increase up to 8% to your benefits every year you decide to delay after your full retirement age. So many of us, Eric, are mismanaging this benefit. For some of us, when to start taking your Social Security is, like I said earlier, it could be $1 million decision or mistake. So I know you deal with this all the time.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, the average benefit right now is, sadly, only $1,900 per month. And so if you do the math over 30 years, that's about $600K. If you're married, that could be more than doubled. So that's over $1 million. But you do have to do the math right. And so it's not as simple as just delay.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I mean, some people think that is, but so it is a big deal to make sure that you're taking Social Security at the right time. I think a lot of us think, well, I'll just call the Social Security Administration and that's where I'll start. But can those workers make recommendations, Eric?
They certainly give you advice and do stuff. So I don't know what their rules are per se, but I once had a client wait an extra year to get more benefit. And then when he called up, Social Security said, hey, we can give you all this extra money. And this was several years ago when they used to be able to go back even farther to get more income. But they gave him this big check. Well, what they did is they basically went back to where he had waited from and lowered his benefit, but gave him a lump sum. Well, if somebody from the government's going to say, hey, I can give you a whole bunch of money, most people say, yeah, hey, that sounds cool.
Heck yeah.
But he didn't realize it also lowered his benefit for the rest of his life. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't a client of mine. It was somebody I just met at a seminar, but that's what I told him. I was like, oh, well, that's how they did that.
Yeah.
So again, you got to watch out what they're offering and make sure you understand what the trade-offs are.
Right. Now, okay, so let's talk about factors that we need to really be thinking about before we start taking Social Security. I've had, friends and acquaintances just once they turned 62 because it was available, they took it, So, yeah.
No, I mean, that can be really hazardous. So the biggest thing is, when are you going to stop working? And when are you going to really stop working is the second question, which sounds like the first question. But lots of times I have people who've stopped working and then they all of a sudden get a job offer, or they got some, their old company calls them back up or something. And, if you're before full retirement age, which for most people now is 67, and you keep working, usually you can only make around, in the low 20s in terms of how much money you can make. Super hazardous to turn it on and work. So it's a little different if you stopped working and you stopped working. Once you're 67 and up, you can make as much money as you want from work, and it doesn't matter. But so that'd be one thing to be looking at. And then the other ones, are you comparing the right numbers? A lot of times people say, well, 67 versus 70, if you wait those 3 more years, you get, so much more money. That is accurate. But when did you retire? If you retired at 65 and you're debating to wait until 67 or 70 to start your Social Security, well, what are you living on?
Yeah.
You're living on your savings, right? You're spending down money, and that money won't ever come back. And so what I've found for most people, I'd say at least 2/3 of the time when we run it under an income plan, it actually makes more sense if they've stopped working to start it sooner. At least for the person who had the lower earnings. For the higher earnings person, if it's a couple, then it gets a little bit more complicated, because then you want to make sure that higher earning person waits the longest possible, because once somebody dies, that higher check stays there. That's the one that you keep. So if you have a check that's $2,000 a month and another one's $3,000, one of you pass away, the $3,000 stays, the $2,000 goes away. And so you really want to make sure that check's bigger, but also you want to compare your own assets, because it's not just Social Security versus Social Security. It's what other dollars did you spend? And if you didn't get, say, $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year, it's $108,000 over 3 years. Well, if you didn't get that $100,000, where'd it come out of? Came out of your assets, right?
Right.
And you can leave your assets behind, but you can't leave your Social Security, behind to your kids and such, right? So that's one of those things where it all comes down to planning. It all comes down to, do you have an income plan? Is it written? Do you know when you're going to start Social Security? What's the trade-offs? Have you actually done the analysis to prove which way is better or worse for your, specific situation? Are your funds now, your investments, starting to be aligned to where they're going to put off income? What's the taxes that you're going to pay? How's the taxation on Social Security get affected by your IRA withdrawals? All these things, healthcare issues, legacy issues, and those are the 5 areas that we have to always account for in an income plan. So again, if you want to set up a time to talk with me, Eric Heckman, or if you just want a copy of my book or a lot of digital downloads, like Will Your Money Last as Long as You Do? All you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And again, you're listening to Eric Heckman. This is Wealth Creator Radio. Eric, let's get into some common mistakes that you have seen people make when it comes to taking Social Security. I bet you've seen it all in the last 30 years. You kind of mentioned, that one poor guy, what he did, but anything else?
Well, lots of times, he wasn't even a client at the time, but my own father-in-law years and years ago, he had, retired with a pension. And then all of a sudden his old company said, hey, can you come back and work on this one project? He retired early and he was under his full retirement age. And so when he did his taxes, all of a sudden he paid back every single dollar Social Security got, but he locked in the penalty for starting earlier because he didn't know about that work rule.
Right.
And had he known about that, he's like, that cut half my pay. I wouldn't, would have either had to have 50% more pay or, or I wouldn't have worked.
Oh, no.
But he didn't ask me. He should have.
Yes, he should have.
But so that's a big one.
Yeah.
I also find lots of times people do it the opposite, where they have the higher income earner person start sooner because that check's bigger. Again, if you're married and the bigger the 2 checks is the one that lasts the longest, you want that big check to be the biggest. So It usually makes more sense to have the smaller of the 2 checks start sooner. So that's another one I see a lot of.
Okay, very good. And so you mentioned, the 5 things that you guys talk about in a retirement plan. Talk about how Social Security fits into that overall retirement income.
Yeah, well, obviously it's a big part. Sadly, it's a huge part for some people. I had somebody come to one of our movie events and she said how she hadn't saved anything and she was turning 60 the next month.
Oh, no.
She once had a few $100s in a Roth IRA and then had to cash it in. That's it. And it's like, what? How do you get that all and never saved a dime?
Yeah.
So some people it's everything, but for most people, it should be a good base of income. One of the concerns is that there is risk of it, having issues. If you look at their site, it always tells you when they're going to run out of money and until that gets fixed. So, it's not the only thing to definitely depend on. You need to have your own backup. You need to have your own guaranteed income. And so it's part of that income plan. It's definitely a good part. It's good money. But, where else are you going to get income from? Because you're not going to be able to survive just on that. And how are you going to get that money, building up? How are you going to get it pay out? How are you going to pay the least taxes over that timeline? And, and these are all the things that we talk about when we meet with somebody, again. So if you just want to ask some questions, you want to just say, hey, I've got this concern or I've got this concern. I'm really trying to help everybody that we can. So, we'll definitely do a 15 to 30 minute phone call. So if you want to get that 15 to 30 minute phone call, all you have to do is text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word visit 800-454-1184 or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Thinking about healthcare costs, long-term care expenses, and income needs in retirement? How will you afford it all? And what can you do now to help ensure your loved ones will be okay when you're gone? Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial has access to tools and strategies that can help you pursue your retirement dreams without taking on too much risk with your money. Interest rates are the highest they've been in decades, so take advantage of this seemingly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help protect your retirement before it's gone. Learn about the tools and features available today that could provide bonuses, potentially adding up to tens of thousands of dollars in additional income when medical needs arise. Schedule your visit with Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial today by calling 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. These opportunities won't last forever, so call now to help protect your future. 800-454-1184.
Hi, we are so glad to have you with us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. He is a well-known speaker and author, and he can provide you with guidance to get you to and through a worry-less wealth retirement. Wouldn't it be nice to worry less? So the penalty for failing to withdraw those full required minimum distributions, or RMDs as they're called, or maybe missing a deadline, the penalty is set for 25% of the unwithdrawn amount. So, you don't want these steep penalties and maybe even higher taxes swiping away at your retirement savings, leaving you with just a fraction of that money that you were counting on for retirement, right?
No, certainly. Yeah. The required minimum distribution, or RMD, it can be kind of confusing, and they've also changed the law like several times. And so it was 70 and a half, it was 72. Now it's 73 if you're born before 1960, and 75 if after age 75. So it got really complicated. But yeah, if your RMD was $10,000, and the old law was 50% penalty, so they did reduce it. But again, if you were supposed to take out 10,000, that penalty is $2,500 plus the taxes that you owe. So you do not want to mess this up.
No, you do not. No. So, obviously, pre-retirees need to know some things about taking these RMDs from their retirement accounts. What do you want them to know, Eric?
Well, so just think of it as, the government gave you a loan. And what would be a question that you'd want to know about if you borrowed some money?
How much is it going to cost me to pay it back, like interest and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. How much and when, and also what's the timeline, right?
Yeah. Timeline.
So think of your 401k, your IRA as a loan to the government. They said, hey, we're not going to tax you. So that's cool, isn't it? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you take this money, you go off and invest it. We hope you do really well. I mean, we really do hope you do well, because the better you do, the better we're going to do. And so, but at some point they want their money back. And that, like I said, that point used to be 70 and a half, 72. Now it's, for most people, it's going to be 75 or 73 if they're, before 1960.
That'd be me. Yeah.
So that means you have to start taking money out and pay the tax, even if you don't need the money. Now, sometimes people will need the money, so it won't matter. But yeah, you're going to have to start paying that tax because they want their money back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I obviously need to get some guidance on that, or otherwise, like I mentioned, there's penalties for not taking those required minimum distributions. Talk about the impact that those costly penalties have on someone's retirement.
Well, I mean, hopefully you don't really actually end up paying them. You can, basically there's a special form and there's a little process that you do where you can ask to be forgiven. And as long as you don't mess it up every single year, usually the IRS is fine with as long as they know why and you do the paperwork. So yeah, usually you don't have to pay those 25% penalties, but yeah, if you just totally ignore it or don't do anything or just keep going year by year, yeah, it can be pretty ugly. And obviously 25%, I'm sorry, I don't care how great your investments are doing. If you're paying a 25% penalty plus the taxes on the money, there's no way your money's growing. So, that's why you want to have good advice. So this is also really is huge on inherited IRAs. And this is really a bigger part for pre-retirees. There's a lot of people in their 50s and 60s now who haven't quite retired, but they're inheriting from their parents. And lots of times they're still IRAs and such. And there's some really crazy rules around those. So, so those are even a special set of RMDs. So again, you want to talk to somebody who can really help you out. I'm actually doing a lot of work with the Ed Slot team, with one of the master tax advisors with them, licensed to do tax returns. So, one of the things I think is crazy about my industry is a lot of people don't know taxes. They say, go talk to somebody else and, to go talk to your tax advisor. The tax advisor says, go talk to your financial advisor and nobody's talking to you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've done is not only do I have my book, Worry Less Wealth, but we actually even have some free reports that are really quick reads, 10 to 15 pages. One of them is, are you paying too much in taxes in retirement? Will your money last as long as you do? So these are some great reads that you can get some good education, and really that's where it starts, right? Being informed, making sure you know what's happening to your financial plan. You could also set up a time to meet with me, Eric Heckman, totally no cost, complimentary. All you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And you're listening to Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial. And I love that you are really a one-stop shop. I mean, people come to you and you can get everything taken care of pretty much. Tax strategies. You're even licensed in Medicare and also Matt in your office. So that's the nice thing, that you are a full-service independent firm, aren't you, Eric?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're talking about just how to maximize your retirement income and how to make the most out of your retirement by taking certain steps. Some people who delay Social Security until 70, and then they have to start taking money from their retirement savings at 73, could be pushed into a higher tax bracket. Some analysts are calling it the tax torpedo, Eric. So I don't know if you haven't explained it already. Is there a way we can dodge that?
Well, so what the tax torpedo is it's really what's happening with your retirement accounts. And that's one of those little secrets that nobody bothers telling you until it's too late. I had a client who was, back when the rules were 70 and a half, not 73, but he came to me when he was 70 and he was retiring. 100% of his money was all in 401k and IRA assets. He had everything tax deferred, which means he owes taxes on all of it, right? So there's very little to no tax planning we could do because he had to start taking the money out right away.
Yeah.
And he also needed to live on. But so the first year they took some money out and, he had to pay a tiny bit of tax on his Social Security, but it was not much at all. So he was, I think, him and his wife had both waited till 70 to turn it on. So they had a lot of Social Security income.
Oh, well, good.
So that's part, it was great because I think their combined checks were about $60,000.
Oh, wow.
And so, that first year he was in a low bracket, but guess what happened at tax time? He needed to withdraw more money to pay the taxes.
Oh.
And so then he took out more money. Well, then happened the next year, that extra money that he took out caused more of his Social Security to get taxed. So he had to take out even more money.
Oh, gosh.
And then that next year, he had 85% of his Social Security being taxed. Why? Because he was taking money out of his IRA and 401k.
Oh.
And the first year, almost none of it got taxed. And so that was, almost 10,000 Social Security taxable income going up to about 50.
Oh, dear.
And so, big effect on your tax return. So that's one of those things where you got to watch out. There are things that you can do ahead of time. If you're planning ahead of time, but not when you're 70
Not
or
when-
73.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So yeah, this is stuff that you need to be doing in your 50s and 60s to avoid that. And there are solutions.
Okay, there are solutions. Get guidance. That's what we're saying. Don't go it alone because there are so many ins and outs that I think just us normal people, folks don't understand. But, you, Eric, you and your team, this is what you do professionally. So obviously taxes are going to impact our retirement over time. Tell us what you think most people overlook when it comes to taxes in retirement.
Well, the biggest thing that they overlook is the fact that they're the biggest thing.
Okay.
That you can make more money, you can do some, make a little bit more interest, whatever. But taxes, hands down, will be the biggest factor on your entire retirement. And the more money you have exposed to Uncle Sam, the worse your retirement's going to end up being because you're going to have to pay more in tax, right? So if we can move some more of that money out of taxation, doing Roth conversions, doing some tax-free accounts, doing some specially designed things, that's just going to be more money in your pocket. So again, if you want to set up a time talk, or if you want to get, are you paying too much in taxes in retirement, some of those downloads, or even a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, all you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Eric Heckman and the team at Heckman Financial understand no matter how the 2024 presidential election shakes out, it's going to have a huge impact on your retirement. It's important that you have a clear understanding of what's at stake with your finances, because as we've already seen, anything could happen. Major election surprises can potentially tip the balance on our economy. And on top of everything else, we also know our current tax rates are going to expire at the end of next year, and they'll go back up. Do you think your finances are ready for all of this? Eric's election stress test can help find out. Schedule yours today with the Heckman Financial Team by calling or texting ELECTION to 800-454-1184. That's ELECTION to 800-454-1184. See how strong your plan really is. Call or text ELECTION to 800-454-1184. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Thank you for spending part of your day with us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer with Eric Heckman. I trust you are learning a lot. Eric is an independent financial advisor, and Heckman Financial is an independent firm. So their focus is on helping you make the best decisions for your own situation so you can worry less in retirement. Eric, the number of Americans who are afraid that they'll never be able to retire appears to be at an all-time high.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. Right?
I know.
But, if you're worried about being able to retire and you're not sure, that means, you probably don't have a plan. You probably don't know where you're going, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like driving down the road and not having a destination. You'll get someplace. But, maybe not, if you're trying to go to the beach and you end up in the mountains, well, okay, hopefully you like the mountains instead. But
yeah. Hope you have the right clothes, right?
Right. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully you packed right. So that's one of the things that you have to do is you have to make sure that you're working with the right type of professional. You don't go to a pediatrician when you're 50 or 60 or something, right? And, but you might be going to a financial advisor or might be using somebody who mostly does investment management and doesn't really do retirement planning, doesn't do distribution planning of how to take the money back out.
So according to a new poll, Ipsos, 1 in 5 Americans think that they'll never be able to retire. Is that surprising to you?
Well, actually, not at all. I mean, I was executive producer for a film called The Psychology of Retirement, and one of the former comptroller of the general of the U.S. He talks about in that film how about 50% of people, the only income they have in retirement is Social Security.
Oh my!
I mean, literally nothing else. So yeah, I mean, if that's all you have, then maybe pretty tough to retire.
Yeah. I watched that movie. That is good. Yeah. The Psychology of Retirement by Morgan Housel, same guy that wrote The Psychology of Money. So that is a good movie. Is that going to be out to the public? Is that going to be available? Or are you going to play it to?
Yeah, we have actually events, so they can, people can always check our events page.
Yeah.
And, or they can even reach out to us. We actually have some streaming codes sometimes that we can provide to people too. So.
Yeah. I loved it. It was very helpful. All right. So, how can having this retirement income strategy that we always talk about help people feel more confident about their own future?
Well, it's just like anything. I mean, if you're, I do a lot of cycling and stuff. And when I was riding all 50 states, 50 miles in all 50 states in 25 months, or when I was doing my 100 kilometers in all 10 provinces in Canada, or even the coast trip when I rode from Oregon to the Mexican border, all of those I had a map, and I had a way to go. I knew where I was going to go. I had a lot of stuff with me. Now, none of those ever worked successfully. There's always something. There's either construction or a road washed out or power lines down. I mean, flooding. I mean, literally, those are all things that I've run into along the way. And then sometimes you kind of realize that, hey, I need some real food, not just the cycling food and other stuff. So you have to go have a stop for that someplace, right?
Yeah.
And so. Just like retirement, very similar. You want to have that plan. You want to have that goal of what you're going to be doing, but it's going to change. And it's something that kind of like showering. You can't just do once. You got to keep doing it. So every year you got to check back in to see if everything's still on track, everything's going there. That's pre and post retirement, really, that you have to be doing that. And so that's one of the things that we do here at Heckman Financial is we help people build that blueprint to worry less wealth, where we do that first and foremost, that income plan, look at Social Security, look at where their other assets are. How are you going to get the money out of all these different things? I mean, it's amazing how kind of scary it is just taking those withdrawals. Then you have to figure out, okay, well, are my investments structured now, not for growth, but to give me money back? Because now you don't care about the points on the scoreboard. Now you just care about how much money is in your checking account each month, right? Mm-hmm. And then what's the tax ramifications of all this money? Because there's a lot of tax minefields that you hit in retirement, and you cannot plan that at tax time. That's too late. You got to plan this out in January for that year that you're taking that money out. And then you'll have a lot better situation. So those are the three key areas. Obviously, healthcare is another big issue, and who gets your money after you're gone. So those are the 5 areas that everybody has to have a plan for. If you haven't done a plan, you still have a plan. It's just not the one you want.
Yeah.
So we want you to have the plan that you want that benefits you the most. And so that's what we help people set up. And so you can set up a time to talk with us. You can read my book, Worry Less Wealth. You can get a lot of great downloads like Will Your Money Last as Long as You Do? All that is available at our digital toolbox. And all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Yeah, Eric advises his retirees by helping them preserve their assets, increase their income, reduce taxes, take advantage of getting some complimentary help, because that's why Eric is here every week, and he would love to guide you. And thank you for joining us. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial, right here in San Jose, and helping people in all the areas around here. And if you're looking for some guidance, he's the one to do it. Their system is working very well at Heckman Financial, and he's reaching out to you today. So here's what I want to ask you. It's, obviously, if someone's been working with a financial professional, it's important to realize that maybe this isn't the right fit for the different stage of your life that you're going into for retirement. I want to bring that up.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you do want to have somebody who can help you permanently. And like I help people, not even just locally, but a lot of my clients have moved to other places and stuff. And so we're with Zoom and everything else, we're still able to work with them. But, really what you want to do is you want to have somebody who really knows how to take money out, how to distribute the money. If they give you one of those silly things where it says, you've got an 80% or 70% chance of success. Well, if the pilot of the plane got on and said, we have a 70% chance of making it, would you stay on that plane?
I'd say, get me off of this thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so I always think that's just a silly thing. And that, to me, that shows somebody who's not really a distribution planner, not somebody who's planning for retirement, but somebody who's just hoping the money lasts. And I don't want to have any of my clients retire on hope.
No.
We want to have them retire on a plan that we know will work and we'll be there for them. And so that's one of the things that, we want to look at the taxes along the way. We want to make sure we have the income set up right. We want to make sure that they're not exposed to too much loss because, statistically speaking, every 3 decades, there's one good one okay one, and one bad one. Well, if you get the bad one, your first decade of retirement, it can be really bad for the rest of your life, right? So we want to make sure that the plan works in any situation. And, that's, I think, the key is working with somebody who specializes in that retirement planning distribution section, for people who are 55 and up and getting to retirement.
Okay, we were talking about how people who are mountain climbers, let's say Mount Everest, you get coached on the way up, but the way down the mountain is so much more dangerous, and people hire Sherpas who, they know what path to take and they coach you on how to come down. That's what you do. You coach people on how to, live out their retirement.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, with those people not feeling comfortable, not feeling like they have enough money, once we have that blueprint to worry less wealth, we know that they're going to be okay. We know that we've got a plan. We know that, they're not going to go sliding down the mountain and fall off a cliff or something. We know that we've accounted for all the different things that's going to happen in everybody's retirement. So that's one of the big keys. So again, we've got all these great resources, a way to set a time with me, Eric Heckman, a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, and even lots of downloads, all in our digital toolbox. All you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Imagine for a moment that an intense storm is pounding your house. Will the roof leak? Will the siding peel away? Will your basement flood? If your house is properly built and maintained, you'll be fine. But what about your 401k or your investments? The stock market has had a great run the last few years, but is its current turmoil making you feel uneasy? Are you confident your portfolio is built to weather the financial storm? Now may be a great time to have your retirement plan inspected. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial at 800-454-1184 now. Eric will examine your portfolio and show you if your investments are in need of some weatherproofing. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial today at 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. So happy to have you along. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. And on our show, we often talk about challenges and risks that happen in retirement. So right now, we're going to have Eric give us an example of someone who has experienced one of those retirement obstacles. We call this our financial fail. And this is because we want to learn from, what people have done or experienced and to try to avoid that and not do it. So Eric, tell us about what you have for us.
Yeah, well, this is a client, Don and Anna, and he had been having health issues for quite some time, and he was actually out on Social Security disability. He was able to qualify for that, which usually you have to be fairly ill and have issues and stuff, and especially with COVID, he just could not work, and so that was fine. But then she started getting jealous, right? Oh. He's home all the time. I'm working, and so she wanted to retire, and we've run the numbers a few times, but what we ran originally, what they were going to be spending, and now what they're withdrawing is massively different. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh well, we wanted to do some improvements on the house too, and we wanted to do this, and well, most of their money's in taxable accounts, so it's not just you don't just take out 20,000 to get 20,000. You have to take out 26 to net 20,000, right? And we just recently met, and when I was looking at their tax statements and looking at how much they fully withdrew, she likes to run her own money, and I just help him with his. And, but we do the planning together, and we updated her values and such. And I mean, they're still doing kind of okay, but I mean, they do have a lot saved up. They've got about $1.5 million saved up, so that part's great. But they took out about 120,000 last year. So, or actually, I think it was a little bit more than that, which, they're getting up to almost a 10% withdrawal rate. And this is when they're in their 60s. So it's one thing to have that big a withdrawal rate when you're in your 70s or 80s, but that early on, that eats up all that money that can't now grow over time, right? Can't compound. It can't keep getting bigger. So it's one of these things where he keeps going, yeah, I really think she should go back to work or go look for a job. Just because, they are worried about it, about how long is everything going to last. And right now, they definitely have another 15 years, but you don't want to be 78 and all of a sudden find out you should be going back to work, right? So
no way.
That's a little tough at that age, and to be doing. So, the nice part is, at least with the income plan, we can be looking at this, we can be seeing this, we can be monitoring it in real time and going, okay, well, you kind of need to stop doing some of these improvements or stop doing some of those fun stuff you're doing or whatever, right? and kind of mellow down the spending. But that's the hard part is people think the money's going to last forever. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you have a whole bunch and then you start spending too fast. So again, that's why you have to have that income plan. But we do actually have a great report called Will Your Money Last as Long as You Do up in our digital toolbox. So you can grab that and a lot more great data, some educational materials. All you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184. And again, you've been listening to Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Eric Heckman, and I'll be back next week to help you create more wealth in your retirement. So again, if you want to also set up a time to talk, all you have to do is call 800-454-1184, or you can find us anytime online at wealthcreatorradio.com. Thank you for tuning in to Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Eric Heckman, and it's been a pleasure guiding you towards a more confident and secure retirement. Remember, my responsibility is to always do what's right for you, our client. Together, we can cut out that fancy-sounding financial jargon that doesn't help and focus on what truly matters for your financial future. If you're ready to take control of your retirement planning and build a personalized income plan, contact us at 800-454-1184 and text the word toolbox to schedule a complimentary consultation. If you're looking for more resources and tools to build your retirement future, don't forget to check out that Wealth Creator Toolbox, your toolkit for a secure and confident retirement journey. Until next time, retire more and worry less with Wealth Creator Radio.
Information provided during Wealth Creator Radio is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. Eric Heckman offers investment advisory services through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Any tax advice given as part of this presentation is not intended to be used and cannot be used by the taxpayer for the purpose of avoiding tax penalties or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any matter or transaction addressed herein. The views and opinions expressed in the program are not necessarily those of the radio station or its sponsors, and they should not construe as legal, tax, or investment advice. You should always consult the appropriate advisor before making any financial decision.
This radio show is a paid placement.